By PC, pod or pad, you are listening to and quite possibly watching Paid to Play. I'm Rob Farkey, your host for this exploration of the dangerous idea that bringing your whole self into your income-generating life, especially the parts that you worry make you seem silly, geeky or odd, is one of the best things you can do. It mightn't be easy, but it's easier than we think and even fear. And with the help of my guest today, I'd like to show you how. My guest comes all the way from the other side of the world, from me here in Australia. Ross Barber hails from Scotland, and he is the owner-operator of Electric Kiwi, a business that's dedicated to designing websites and album covers for independent musicians and bands. It's an interesting career, especially given that originally Ross had aspirations of being in the spotlight himself. He has instead dedicated his life to helping musicians, bands, and other artists pursue their dreams of turning their passion for music into a viable career opportunity. This all started for Ross after he earned a Bachelor of Arts honours degree in popular music performance from the UHI Millennium Institute in Perth, that's Scotland of course, in 2011. From designing websites to creating artwork for album covers, Ross has been lucky enough to work with independent artists from all over the world, and his marketing strategies have been featured on top websites including Cyber PR Music, Hypebot, and Musicians Unleashed. And it's especially intimidating to have him on this show when this is my first experiment with recording a video episode, because Ross has recently published the 69th episode of Bridge the Atlantic, a podcast that he records with singer-songwriter Marco Novelli. This podcast that he does is also an interview podcast where he speaks with musicians and creative entrepreneurs. It spent several weeks on the new and noteworthy chart after debuting on iTunes. Ross, thank you very much for your time and welcome to the Pay to Play podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So imagine for a second that after this podcast ends, I am going to give you a magic ticket. This ticket, when redeemed, will allow you to spend a chunk of time on the thing that you're most looking forward to getting back into, whether it's making something, playing something, watching something, or getting together with someone. What would be on your short list to use this ticket to do?
Good question. I guess one of the things I've not really had time to do since I started my business was play video games, and I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that I'm any good at video games, but I've always loved Final Fantasy games, especially 7. And I think I would love to sit and play Final Fantasy 7 from start to finish without having to worry about emails, phone calls, and any other notifications. That would be what I would use it for.
So you'd be binge playing Final Fantasy 7. So I assume you're talking about the original PlayStation 2 version. I think there's some talk about them doing a remaster at the moment.
It would be the original, but I would probably ditch the original for the remake when it comes out because it looks amazing.
Well, tell me, Ross, as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, you originally started out wanting to be a professional musician yourself. When did that dream get fostered?
I think it was really kind of in the last year of doing my degree. And we had a task which was basically to like put a band together and perform an hour-long set based on a topic that you wanted to do. So I stupidly decided to do the influence of grunge on popular music when I didn't really have that much of an interest in grunge. It wasn't really something that I could perform very well, but for some reason I thought it would be a good idea to do that. And basically my band didn't really learn the songs. The performance completely fell apart on the day and it was an absolute disaster. And I wasn't really that confident in the first place. So I think that kind of confirmed to me, this is maybe not really where you want to go. But at the same time, we were doing a promotion and marketing class, where we basically just kind of left to our own devices. They were like, you have to come up with a project and just make it happen. I was like, okay, fine, I'll do that. So my project was, to build a website to promote myself as a singer-songwriter and drive people to the website through social media with the aim of getting 100 people to sign up to my mailing list by a specific date. So I ended up like exceeding that goal, and I got a really great mark for that class. So I thought, well, maybe this is the kind of direction I should be going in. Because I've been doing websites beforehand. Like I taught myself web design when I was like 12, from like really old websites that don't even exist anymore. And I think like most of the stuff I learned I don't even use now because it's so outdated that things have changed. So I already kind of had the interest in doing design, and I knew how to do it. So it kind of made sense for me to combine what I loved, which was music, with something that I already liked doing and had done before. And that's kind of basically how it all came about.
So what led you to actually doing an honours degree in popular music performance in the first place?
Yeah, I really thought that I wanted to be a musician. But I also, when I was reading about like the kind of stuff that you did, you learned about the business as well. And that was something that I was always interested in, because I knew that if I wasn't going to do performance, I was definitely going to be involved in music in one way or another. I don't think at that time I knew 100% which way it was going to go. Because at first I thought I wanted to be a musician, I sort of thought I wanted to be a producer, and then I thought I wanted to be a vocal coach until I did a placement teaching vocals and I made a girl cry on my first day. So I kind of thought, maybe this isn't for me. And yeah, I think it was just... Yeah, I went in with the idea thinking that I wanted to be a performer, but I wanted to learn all the other stuff that kind of goes around it as well, with the hope that if I ended up not wanting to do performance, that I would get an idea of where I wanted to go. And luckily I did. It was kind of very last minute that I learned what I wanted to do, but yeah, I think that was basically why.
But even if you came to it last minute, it was still enough to... graduate with honours from university, something that a lot of people would be envious of.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of work, but I'm really glad I did it, even though it's not necessarily like, the degree itself hasn't, got me a job because I created my own job, but I think I learned a lot, and I learned a lot about myself, and I met a lot of really great people, some who I'm, still really good friends with today, some that I've worked with since graduating, actually. So yeah, I definitely think it was worthwhile doing.
Fantastic. So you graduated in 2011. How long was it before you hung out your shingle as a web designer?
Well, let me think. So after I graduated, I worked in a couple of like call center jobs, because where I lived in Perth in Scotland, which is a relatively small city. It's not a big place. So there weren't really any kind of music-related jobs or web design-related jobs that I could really go for. So I just ended up doing a lot of call center work. And then I ended up moving to Glasgow because I felt there was more opportunities here. And again, I worked in a call center, but at the same time I was doing a couple of unpaid internships, and I did a remote internship with a social media company based in London. And through them I was doing little bits of web design and graphic design. And I was just on Twitter one day, and an artist that I'd listened to for years tweeted that she was looking for an intern in LA to help her with digital marketing. And I was like, well, I'm not going to pass up this opportunity. So I tweeted her and I said, look, I'm in the wrong place, but I'm exactly who you're looking for. Can we talk? And she messaged me and she's like, yeah, let's talk. And I was like, okay. So I sent her some stuff that I'd done, just as like a hobby, really. And she was like, oh yeah, let's work together. And then she asked me to redesign her website. She's like, I've got a week to launch my new site. Can you do it? And in my head, I was thinking, no, there's no way I can do this. But I was thinking, it's like, I kind of have to do it because, she's one of my favorite artists. And if I say no, then I'm putting her in a tough spot. So I decided to do it. And through that, she then introduced me to other friends of hers who were independent musicians of different kind of levels. And so I started to sort of slowly build up things while I was working elsewhere. And then one day I did actually, during all this, I did also move from the call center job to a digital marketing job, which was like doing digital marketing for hotels and other corporate clients, which wasn't interesting to me, but I felt it was good experience to have, like, see what things are like in the agency environment and kind of see how you work with clients. But I wasn't happy there. So while I was building up all this freelance stuff on the side, I kind of had to make a decision. It's like, do I want to stay in this job where I'm not happy, or do I want to just sort of take a leap and see what happens with my own stuff? So I took the leap, and I've been doing it ever since. So I think it's been about 3 or 4 years that I've been doing this full time now.
Fantastic. So, tell us a bit about where you are now. Being in your line of work, you're kind of one of the unsung heroes of the music industry, while everyone else is hogging the spotlight, playing the music and doing all the gigs. You know, you're basically setting up, and I assume maintaining their websites, making sure that they, at least design-wise, if not content-wise as well, they get regularly updated, and any flaws or faults are quickly repaired. At least that's my idea of what the job must be like. How has been, after you took that leap, what has the life of being a solo business person been like?
I mean, I think especially at the beginning, there was that kind of fear of where's the next client coming from? Am I going to have enough money to pay my bills this month? And I guess in some ways that fear is kind of always going to be there. It's sort of like an underlying fear now, rather than the kind of driving force of finding new people to work with. So I would say for me, it's kind of a case of just balancing everything. Like, that's something I'm still learning, is how to balance the social media stuff with dealing with clients over, via email and through Skype and all that kind of stuff. So that's still something I'm still juggling with how to balance everything. But I love the freedom to be able to do what I want when I want to. I mean, within reason. I mean, obviously, I still need to be available for my clients. I can't just disappear for, days or weeks on end without letting them know. But I love that I can work with the clients that I want to work with, and I don't have to work with someone that I don't think is going to be a good fit for me. So that's probably been the most important part for me, is the freedom and the independence for me to kind of pick and choose what's right and what's not.
Yeah. That's something that kind of interests me, because I think a lot of us, we struggle with that idea that if we go into business ourselves, it does give us the freedom, the opportunity to actually choose who we get to work with, rather than having it imposed on us from above. And there is always that fear. I mean, as you were talking about, especially at the beginning, of not quite trusting yet that more work is going to eventuate. So can you tell us, if possible, without naming any particular names, but an instant, I guess, especially in the early days when you actually did turn someone down, what that meant for your business and any sort of steps you had to take as a result?
Let me think of someone that I turned down. I mean, I guess one of the sort of the red flags for me was when people try and negotiate a cheaper rate when I already know that my rate is very reasonable for what they're getting. But when people, the first thing they say is, they contact me and say, "Hey, I need a website. What's the cheapest thing you can do for me?" And I'll be like, because what I've learned is the people that want stuff the cheapest or immediately ask for a discount are almost always the ones who expect way too much and ask you for, they always want more stuff added. Like, they always want more free things. So, I mean, I think the only way that I've learned that is because initially I did take on people who were like, "Oh, what's the cheapest rate can you do? Can you knock $100 off this or whatever?" And I was like, because I was in that fear stage, I was like, yeah, I'll take you on. I need the money. So it's like, it doesn't matter to me if I have to work 30 hours for, 10 hours pay, I'm still getting money. That was kind of how I thought of it in the beginning. Whereas I don't think like that anymore, because I realize it's not worth the work and the stress that comes with people like that. So yeah, back then it probably didn't help me, but it did teach me something, which has then helped me now to kind of spot the people that I don't want to be working with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, yes. And I guess if there's one thing that it's worth pointing out, is that you did learn your lessons, and they didn't, in the meantime, while you were learning and taking on these clients who, in retrospect, weren't healthy for your business, you survived, and you are still in business today and doing so quite happily. So, again, I think that's perhaps another one of the things that people are afraid of, that, they have to be perfect straight out of the gate, or else everything's going to crash and burn around them.
Yeah, and that definitely isn't the case. I mean, I think it's unrealistic to expect that you're going to know everything and that you're going to be, perfect at absolutely every aspect. I mean, I still don't really consider myself much of a business person. Like, I'm running my business and I'm doing okay, but I still don't think of myself as a business guy. So I do still need to ask people for help and advice, and there are times where I'll get an email and I'm like, oh, I'm not sure how to deal with this because it's a little bit awkward. So I've got a couple of people that I can speak to. I'll be like, look, this is what I'm thinking of sending. What do you think? And they say, no, do this instead because you're being too nice, or you're not doing yourself any favors really. And I'm like, okay, well, so I'm just always kind of weird because I always want, like, I guess I'm very protective of my reputation because I feel like I've built a good reputation. People are happy to recommend me to other people and all that kind of thing. And that's one thing I really don't want to jeopardize. So I'm very cautious when it comes to the awkward stuff that I don't like. Telling people that, no, you can't have this, or no, I'm not going to do that because I've already done this. That's definitely something I struggle with, and I'm still trying to train myself to be not meaner, but I guess more business-minded, I suppose.
Yeah. Stronger, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe more assertive as well, like standing my ground rather than just kind of being a pushover, I suppose.
Yeah. It does seem to be that, and this is something that I'm still learning myself, Ross, when people are nice, it's usually because they're a bit too scared of something, whether it's social rejection or, in the beginning stages of a business, of not being able to earn enough money to keep it going. It's always, niceness does seem to come down to fear somehow.
I think it does, yeah. I think it does. Because I definitely think, and this is something that I was speaking with someone who is in the same kind of area of business as me, and she's been doing it for 18, or maybe longer, 18 years or so. And she says that even still now, she's always got that, I just want people to like me kind of thing. And I'm like, maybe that's, I see a bit of me, and she's like, and maybe you're a bit of a control freak. I'm like, yeah, I am a bit of a control freak. So it's kind of good to know that I'm not alone in that respect, and I can reach out to her, and she's like, no, you have to do this. She's like, I learned this 10 years ago. You're going to learn from my lesson now, and you're going to do this. So yeah.
No, you were just talking about, I was thinking, why does that sound familiar for some reason? Yeah. Okay, well, tell us a little bit about the working life of a web designer, an album cover designer for independent musicians and bands. What does, say, the average week in the operation of Electric Kiwi involve?
Okay, so Mondays are kind of email hell day because all the emails pile up over the weekend. So Mondays are almost exclusively emails, and that's just replying to like new inquiries or any kind of ongoing projects when I've asked someone, can you send me some more content for this or whatever, and dealing with that. Tuesdays is actually podcast day, so Tuesdays I pretty much exclusively focus on the podcast, whether that's scheduling new guests or doing the interviews or making notes for the editing and all that kind of thing. And then Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, I try and spend at least the morning working on 2 or 3 set things. So I make a list of all the things I want to get done that day, and I make sure I get 2 or 3 of them done before I open my email, because I find email can be really distracting and overwhelming sometimes. So yeah, I always try and make sure I get something like that done early on, whether that's draft designs or something that someone's emailed me about that needs to be taken care of. I'll make sure I can do all that first. And normally, like, scattered throughout that, there'll be a couple of client calls, or there'll be, a lot of social media stuff going on as well. Because I love Twitter, so I try and spend as much time on Twitter as I can without being too distracted. So I'm working on that. That's something I'm still working on. But yeah, that's kind of a rough guide. Like I don't really have a really set routine. The only thing that I'm definitely set on is I don't check my email until around midday or later, because once I'm in my email, that's it. Email, I have to like surrender to my inbox, because I'm really bad with, if I see I've got an email, I can't not deal with it. So I don't have email on my phone anymore, and I only check email when I'm working, and I won't check it after 7 p.m. Okay. That's my my kind of rules for myself.
All right. With Twitter, is that something that you also have to govern, or do you just kind of keep it open on the side while you're doing other things?
I used to have it open pretty much all the time, but now I try and close it down. So I'm trying more monotasking, which is something one of my friends was telling me about, which is, as it sounds, focusing on one thing and not lots of things. Yeah. Still not great at it, but I am getting better at it. If I notice that I've got like 5 things open when I only need one, I will go and then close them down. So no, Twitter, I try and sort of like just treat myself. Like once I manage to get one thing done, whether it's like the first draft of a design and it's ready to send, I'll then say, I'll spend 5 minutes on Twitter, see what's going on, and then I'll get back to the next thing. So it's kind of there all the time. But I mean, when I'm watching TV and stuff, like, you know, outside of work, I'll pretty much always be on Twitter in some way.
Okay. Do you outsource any of your workload at all? How much of a one-man operation is Electric Kiwi at the moment?
It's still mostly one man, but I have found that I've been needing to outsource stuff lately, just because there's too much for one person to do, which I think is definitely a good place for me to be at. But like I was saying, I am a bit of a control freak, so I find it really hard to to delegate stuff, because I kind of have very specific ways that I like things to be done, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist as well, so I find it difficult to outsource. So I tend to, when it comes to design and development, I've got specific things that are like a little bit more technically advanced than what I would do. I would outsource those very specific tasks to someone. So if I'll like build like the main structure of the site, for example, and then there's one thing that I'm maybe not sure how to get to work, and I'll be like, here's what I want, can you do this? And then I'll leave them to it. And when it comes to social media, I do have someone that helps me schedule out some content. So I mean, all the personal stuff and all the replies, that's still me, but anything that's kind of like an article that's useful for musicians, I've got someone that helps me source that and schedules that out. So there's always stuff going out, but I'm not the one having to do that, because I used to do everything, and that was when the days were much longer. The days were like 14-hour days or so, and I was quickly getting burnt out. So it was at that point I realized I can't do this all myself, as much as I would probably like to in some way. So outsourcing has definitely been really helpful. And again, it's still something I'm getting used to. I'm still kind of like, there's some things that I definitely won't outsource, but I'm kind of getting a little bit more comfortable with handing things out to other people.
Yeah. So I think it's fair to say your placement on the pay-to-play spectrum is that you are completely self-employed. Would that be right?
Yeah, definitely. I don't even know why I had to think about that for a second, because yeah, I definitely am, have been since, I want to say 2012 or 2013. Definitely around about then. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic. That means I can add you straight onto my list of Venkmans. I love adding people to that. It's great to be able to chat with folks who have actually made that transition and give the rest of us a little bit of hope. So what is next for you, Ross? I mean, have you got any sort of plans that you're looking forward to getting to, or any future aspirations that you're still sort of nursing quietly?
I mean, the kind of goal is really to just be able to keep doing what I'm doing, but I would love to work with I would love to kind of get involved with some independent labels and kind of be not like their in-house designer, but kind of their go-to person, like for any of their artists. Like that's something that I would really like to do, especially if it's a label that that I really like. So that's kind of, I'm not actively pursuing that, but I'm putting it out there. If anyone is looking. But no, yeah, the goal really is just more of what I'm doing, more clients that I love. And that's kind of the big kind of hope is, keep making it happen.
Yeah. So, not exactly more of the same, but slowly ramping up the challenge of the same so that you don't get burnt out, but at the same time you don't get bored after doing it for so long.
Yeah, like it's just more a case of the actual clients. I just want to make sure that I'm always working with clients that I really enjoy, especially ones that are doing really good things. Whether that's, that they're achieving a lot of success with their music, or if they're doing something interesting kind of on the side, whether that's maybe like a charity thing, or if they're arranging their own kind of like groups, like helping other artists, like things like that. Like I want to be involved with people that are doing things that are making some kind of difference, whether it's in music or not.
So in closing, what 3 things do you perhaps wish someone could have told you right at the beginning of your endeavors that you think would be of help to someone who was just starting out, whether in a similar line of business as a web designer, or just deciding that they want to pursue what they love doing as a source of income?
Okay, the first one is something that I was told, but I didn't listen to. Back when I was studying, we were told about the importance of networking. And I remember we were sitting in this networking lecture, and none of us were listening or paying attention. We were like, this is so boring. This is just, we don't care. And I remember we were just like doodling in our notebooks or whatever. But really, I wish I'd paid attention to that. But I also wish that they didn't call it networking. I wish they called it something that sounded more like what it is, which is just kind of talking to people, telling them what you do, finding out what they do, and just kind of, building relationships. Because for me, building the relationships has been the most important part to everything, because it's those initial relationships I made at the start that have then led to me working with other people, and the relationships with them have then led me to working with other people. So I really wish that I'd paid attention to that. So it's not something that I hadn't been told. I just wish I wish I'd listened. Other thing, I would say don't be afraid to, this is not going to be popular. Don't be afraid to work for free or for cheap initially to build some kind of portfolio, or to kind of at least get your reputation on the right track. Don't do it forever. Don't do it for long, but do it enough that you've got something tangible that you can use and leverage for future. Because that is something that I did, and I know a lot of people say don't work for free, and I say don't work for free like 4 years down the line, but initially it can really help. And third thing, I guess know what you're worth, and that's something I'm still struggling with, but I'm trying to get better at, is know what you should be charging and charge it, and kind of stand your ground. If someone wants you to work for less, do that if you want to, but don't do it because they want you to, if that makes sense. Like, only do it if it's something that you feel passionate about. Because, even now, like, if a client comes to me and says, look, I've only got this budget, what can you do? If I feel like I really want to work with them, then I may say, okay, I'll do it for that.
Yeah.
But that's me deciding and not them.
And I think that's probably a key difference right there. When your client comes to you saying, instead of, what's the cheapest you've got? They say, look, I'd like to work with you. This is how much I can afford. At least it's constructive, rather than just trying to immediately open the conversation by knocking you down or getting you to knock yourself down.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, after listening to and watching this episode of Paid to Play, where can our listeners find you?
The best place to find me is my website, which is electrickiwi.co.uk, and you'll find me on Twitter as Electric Kiwi. Facebook, I am Electric Kiwi Design, and on Instagram, I'm also Electric Kiwi, but Twitter is probably the best place because I'm almost always there. Fantastic.
Well, Ross, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been great to chat with someone who lives in my ancestral homeland. I don't know if you can tell from the last name, but I've got Scots roots myself, so it's good fun Well, not exactly chatting with a fellow Scot, but yeah, someone who still resides in the old country.
Yeah, for sure.
Pardon my rambling. But as always, I'm crap with goodbyes, so I'll just wind this up by saying thank you very much again.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.